I'm going to put out a warning to you all right now that the next hour of this stream is going to be very raw and very honest and real, because that is what this space is for me. I like to very much create this. It's also like right off the cuff, if you haven't been able to tell. Just this conversation between all of us, and I usually don't bring up very personal stuff. You guys know my wife, you guys know my daughter, but other than that, I don't really open up too much. Besides, like the fun personal stories and everything. Tonight, we're gonna lay it all out there. All right, we're gonna talk about self harm. We're going to talk about one of the greatest heroes of the 90s. We're going to talk about my struggle with it and what I've learned through my journey of self-harm. And then, just remember one of the greats. And if I cry, just like I started to do last week, bear with me. I know I've cried a lot this week, and I know you guys have cried a lot this week as well. And after all this, we're going to watch some Japanese kids shows. So if you're just here for Toku Tuesday night, which I completely understand, and you just want to watch Dawn Brothers and Geets, I almost said Revice again. You can go ahead and do that. We're going to start those in about an hour. So if you want to click off and not be here for this, I completely understand. Or if you can't be here for this, because I also understand how this could be hard for some people. That's okay too. And I understand, and you care and self-care however you need to. I want to show off this art from Toku J today. Toku J makes these amazing redesigns of the Power Ranger suits and posted this today and said, "Once a Ranger." And I didn't think I was going to cry until tonight. I didn't think I was going to cry until this stream, but as soon as I saw this posted 2 hours ago, tears rolling down. So I just want to show you guys that before I get into a little bit of a story. So I don't know why I put all this sort of pressure on myself about this stream. I saw the news on Sunday, and I didn't want to be the first one to comment on it. I didn't want to be the first one to get a video out, because I thought that's someone else's job. I'm not really a reporter in this whole sphere, or I'm just not that guy. But I am, without sounding too big-headed here, I do consider myself somewhat of a leader in this whole Tokusatsu community. And so I do feel like I need to bring something to this and say something about this that I only I can, because it's his personal experiences. So there's a year that I went this is going to sound unrelated, and if you have to leave and you want to watch this whole thing, I'm probably going to put this whole thing unedited on the clips channel. I want it up there just so it's like not monetized or anything, but in case anyone wants to see it, they can. A few years ago, a while now, gosh, almost 10 years ago at this point, I saw Linkin Park in concert for one song. I was at San Diego Comic-Con, and there was a party at the park, is what they called, thrown by MTV. It was like the Guy Awards and a Linkin Park concert. And me and my wife went for the Linkin Park concert. What they didn't tell us is that the Guy Awards was going to last close to 3 hours. So we're sitting there, and we're watching the Guy Awards, and we're like, man, when is Linkin Park gonna come up? Man, when is Linkin Park gonna come up? And finally, the Guy Awards is over, and then an opener comes up. I forgot his name. He was like really big with Halsey at the time, or before he was really big with Halsey. And he got really big with Halsey. I think he's in that song "You and I." I forgot his name, but he comes up, and you could tell the whole crowd just wants Linkin Park. They're basically booing this guy off the stage. After every song, he's like, "Y'all ready for Linkin Park?" And everyone's like, "Yeah." And he's like, "All right, we got one more for you." Keeps going. Finally, about 4 hours after everything starts, next up is Linkin Park. Linkin Park comes up, take a little bit to get on stage. And before Linkin Park starts playing, I get a text from my friend saying, "Hey, I'm in line for this party." It's got Philly D, it's got April O'Neil, it's got Max Landis, it's got like all these people who I like really dug at the time and really looked up to at the time. And it's a Felicia Day and Geek and Sundry party is what it was at Comic-Con, because they do these parties after the convention closes every night. And you see all these celebrities and everything. It's just this big, fantastic celebration of geekdom. And I just turned 21, so I'd never been to a Comic-Con party. But I was like, yeah, this is like a one-time thing. I need to do this. And so as Linkin Park was playing, I told myself, I can see Linkin Park whenever. I can only do this party once. So I got up in the middle of the first song, "What I've Done." I love that song. And I left. And as I was leaving, I heard "Bleed It Out," which is my favorite Linkin Park song. And I went to turn around, and I thought, you know what? I can see Linkin Park any day of the week. All around the country at any time. And I never saw Linkin Park. I never saw Linkin Park again because years later, Chester Bennington committed suicide. And that is what it is. And when that happened, I told myself I would never let an opportunity that I wanted slip through like that again. I would never tell myself there's always tomorrow to do this, and I can wait on this in some other time. So when I thought about what I was going to say to start this stream and share a story of JDF, it was so obvious that the best thing I could say is that I don't have a JDF story. I let that moment slip through again. There were countless times where a comic book shop down the street had him. A comic book shop 30 minutes away had him. I live in LA. You drive 10 minutes every way, there's a shop the JDF was doing a signing at. A convention, countless conventions. This last Power Morphicon I was supposed to be at. The Power Morphicons I have been to, when I looked and I was like, man, that line is really long. I'm not going to wait for that. I can go to, a shop called Quest, which is a comic shop out here, and see him there. I can go to Emerald Knights down the street and see him there because he'll be there. I don't have a Tommy story where I met JDF, but over the weekend I saw so many people post their stories about how much this man loved the community and loved the people in it. And my first thought, as selfish as it was that that's not me. That I'm not one of those people. That I didn't have that experience where my hero took me by the hand, said hi to my mom on the phone, said hi to my brother who has a tattoo of the Green Ranger on his arm. I'm not in that group of people who have one of those experiences. And it took me a day or so that to realize that I am one of those people. It doesn't matter if I met him in person, because he loved so much everyone that supported Power Rangers. Um, and that's what I've learned over these past couple days of seeing everyone's posts and hearing everyone's stories and interactions with him, and just hearing him speak on like cameos and stuff, or like videos he did or podcasts he did. It was abundantly apparent that he loved this, which is good, because I don't think it's hard to. I don't think anyone's going to argue when I say that Jason David Frank, Tommy Oliver, is Power Rangers. And for years, when all of us at some point in our lives fell off and thought, oh, that's maybe a show I'm a little too old for. That's maybe a show for babies. That's maybe a show that I'm not the demographic for. JDF was out here every single day making Power Rangers related content, Power Rangers jewelry, just flexing on the highest level that he was a Power Ranger. And I think that's what any of us would do if we became a Power Ranger, but JDF was the definition of it. He he carried that brand when I faltered. He carried that brand when maybe some of you faltered. And he carried that brand for damn sure when other people faltered. The people of that brand, the people who own that brand, when they faltered, he still carried it. And whether from listening to everything this week, I fully believe he was still carrying that brand. And he still would have the minute they asked him to come back. We did a skit here on stream a few months ago when he posted saying goodbye to Tommy Oliver and hello to Eric Reed, his new character from Legend of the White Dragon. We did a skit where I did the taps salute and everything, and we were like, R.I.P. Tommy Oliver. And I signed onto the clips page the other day, yesterday, and I didn't realize that clip was up with the title R.I.P. Tommy Oliver, and it had gotten so many comments and views since then of people like, wow, and like not realizing this, it was in August when we talked about it. And I didn't think I would be doing this actually just a few months later. But here I am, and here you are. So I can do my best to put out some words of wisdom to everyone here. I think the love each other and the reach out things are all great and good, and we've heard it so many times that I feel that it's probably lost on a lot of you. So I'm going to tell you in different ways, and I'm going to put it in my own words. I showed this off last week. I'm going to show it off again. This is the first thing I bought with my adult job. I went, and this is like, I don't know if you can hear it. It's like hard metal. I got a job at a news station right out of high school. And with my first paycheck, I went on eBay and found a White Ranger morpher. And I was like, yeah, this is it. And it's has like rails on the back so you can slide your belt in between it. And I put it on my belt and I wore it everywhere around town. I thought I was the White Ranger right out of high school. I was so dead set on showing this off. So much so that I bought the communicator too. I don't know where that went at this point. Probably, I remember it breaking. I don't remember where it is, but I bought this and I was like, I am Tommy. Cause that was my dude. The first time, my stepbrother came to live with us, he had a Falcon Zord, and I was like, what? Why do you have a Falcon Zord? I'm Tommy. Why do you get the Falcon Zord? He liked a Green Ranger. I was the White Ranger through and through. Both Tommy, but this was when I was like 2 years old, getting mad at my brother. I remember that to this day. And so, like I said, if we are going to get into details right now, and if you get triggered by this stuff, please come back in 30 minutes when we start watching Toku Tuesday night. But A TMZ article came out this morning that detailed the moments leading up to Jason David Frank's suicide and detailed the hours, in fact, leading up to Jason David Frank's suicide and who he was with and how it happened and where it happened. And the thing I'm going to tell you right now, and you can look in my eyes and know that it's true, is that Jason David Frank went out the same way I attempted to. He hung himself in his hotel bathroom. My attempt was in the room of my apartment off of our closet door. And before it could happen, the closet door broke. And I failed. Jason wasn't so lucky. And if you seek out that article and read it as I did this morning, as someone who was in that position, I want you to know something very true. And it's that the hours leading up to the incident, who he was with, what was said, anything, that article goes into a lot of it, but I cannot stress this enough. In that moment that I chose to do that, none of that stuff mattered. I wasn't thinking about what anyone said to me, what anyone would have said, who I was angry at, who I was missing, what I had messed up at. The only thing that mattered is that my brain lied to me enough to trick me into thinking that if I did this, things would be better. And it was a lie. So, like I said, I've seen tons of things going around right now, messaging the people who are mentioned in that article, mentioning the things that were said in that article as reasons that this happened. And I want you to know that there is no reason this happened. It's purely a case of your inner voice lying and telling you that things would be better this way. And if we look around the last 3 days, anywhere, whether it be on the internet, whether it be with your friends, your family, whether it be, I was at the gym this morning and somebody was wearing a Power Ranger shirt. You would know that things aren't better. Things are not better this way. And if he was lucky enough for something to go wrong in his attempt, then he would know that as well. So, well, why? What was I don't know if any of you saw. Yesterday I posted on Twitter was my 13th year life anniversary. And what that means is 13 years ago yesterday, I was laid up in a hospital bed with a heart attack, 5 of them actually, in 2 days. And I thought I was going to die. And my parents thought I was going to die at 17 years old. Uh, because I was just having these unexplained heart attacks at the time, at least unexplained. And that's when I was like, I'm gonna live life to the fullest. I'm gonna do whatever I want to do. I'm gonna start this and I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna become whatever I want to do. And I have done all that stuff. I'm here, right here with you guys, doing something that I always wanted to do. Uh, I didn't have suicidal thoughts at 17. I was a pretty happy teenager. I guess I had like angst and stuff and like girl problems and stuff, but I was pretty on it. I love you guys too. Thank you. Um, I was pretty on it, and I remember once that everything was clear with the heart attack. That's when I was like, I am gonna live life to the fullest. And depression happened after that. The moment I promised myself I wanted to live, later on my brain lied to me and said, no, you don't. Uh, and that's what this tattoo's for. I don't know if you guys know. Is this is the Digicrest of courage, and I needed something to look down and remind me that things take courage. The things I want take courage, and courage overall. Um, so that's why this is the only thing I've ever gotten on my body. This is why uh, I look down and I always forget it's there. I'm always like, oh yeah, I have a tattoo, and then I always remember why it's there, and I'm like, oh yeah, this is gonna be hard, but it has to be done, or I have to do it, or the things that I want take that, or living takes that. And I am very happy to say that the moment I had my daughter a year ago, October of 2021, was the last time I had any suicidal thoughts until last week. Last week was hard. My daughter got very sick. I had to cancel our trip to Arizona to go see my family for Thanksgiving, which is why I'm here. I know I promised Marcos Satsu. He's in chat. Thank you, Marcos. He will take over the stream eventually. I promise. But that's why I'm here tonight. And she got very sick. My uncle, who was like my father for a lot of my life, who was my personal hero at points in my life, the man that made me not feel like a stray in that side of my family, he died. He died. And before, when I was talking about being a leader in this community and having to uh, say something or feeling some kind of responsibility here, last week, I now have a lot more responsibility for that situation. He died. He was 50 years old. He had no children, and a lot of it has fallen to me. And a lot of people were making that very hard. And it's a messy situation when someone dies and doesn't leave anything but their words. And so that was getting to me. And not being able to take a break and go out to see my family was getting to me. And just everything that I thought mattered in the world was getting to me. And it happened again. I was driving uh, somewhere very far, and I was like, hey, would everything be better if I drove off the side right now? Would everything be if I just veered? could probably make it look like an accident if I just slowly turn the wheel to the middle, or to the left or the right. And then I can't be blamed for anything, especially if I hit it hard enough. There's a book called Looking for Alaska, where this girl, Alaska, she talks about the only way out of the labyrinth is straight and fast, and then she gets in a gigantic car accident where she just drives straight into a telephone pole or a wall or something like that, and it weighs on the main character, saying that she said the only way out of the labyrinth was straight and fast. That was like her favorite quote, because she went straight and fast out of the labyrinth. And I feel like I read that at a bad time in my life where I took those words to heart. Ugh. So I've always thought, man, car accident, that could be another way to go. And I thought about it again this week, seriously. And I started kind of pulling from side to side until I snapped back in. And when I got home, I told my wife, because that's when you do when you have people that you love or people that love you. I said, hey, it's been a year. The minute I held Charlie, I was like, I'm never going to do it again. But I did it. And I thought about doing it again. She, being the loving wife she is, put her head down and was quiet for a few minutes, and she just looked back at me and said, hey, you have to show her Christmas lights. Because that's all I've been talking about all month, is showing Charlie Christmas lights. I was so happy to do it when she was first born, but she was 1 month old at the time, or like a month and a half old at the time. She didn't know what these... She probably couldn't even see that far ahead of her. And so I've been so excited this year to show my daughter Christmas lights. It's been literally like driving me the past couple weeks. But my wife's like super against having Christmas before Thanksgiving. So it's always like, hey, gotta wait for Thanksgiving, then we can start doing Christmas stuff. Which, like, some people have that thing. That's fine. And she said, you have to show her Christmas lights. And she said, and then you have to be her Valentine. And then you have to be there for her second birthday. Or then you have to show her fireworks. And then you have to be there for her second birthday. And it all rushed back in that, like, oh, yes, I do have this thing that I'm living for now. I do have this child. She's literally on my wallet, guys. The girl controls my heart and my money. I have this thing that I can look to and live for, and I knew this. I knew this when I was in the car, steering from left to right. I knew this when I had those thoughts. I knew this when I was like ready to make this look like an accident and change tons of lives, not just mine. I knew that I had a 1-year-old sitting at home who cries for dada every time I get up from the couch. And my brain didn't let me remember. But the moment I did, I was like, oh yeah. It wouldn't be good if I did. It wouldn't be better if I did this. This place wouldn't be that great. What's after surely wouldn't be that great. What's great is this. This is great. I was having bad moments, bad weeks, bad days in a good life. And I couldn't show myself that. It took someone else saying that for me to realize it. Um so this week a lot of people have been telling you to reach out, to talk to someone, to just message someone on the internet. I've seen a million posts of like, hey, if you need someone to talk to me. And most of you might not do that. And it's not even a question. Like, I understand why we wouldn't do that, because I didn't do that until I felt like I had to. I didn't call my wife when I was in the car. I waited until I got home and out of that situation. Um, but I want you, if you are brave enough, courageous enough to to reach out to someone. It could be a stranger on the internet. And like, don't get me wrong, a lot of people forge really great uh, friendships and relationships that way. But people ask me all the time why there's not like a venting section in my Discord, because I know a lot of Discords have that. And my answer is always the same. It's because like a lot of us aren't therapists, or very smallly qualified to talk about this stuff with people. I can be there for you and listen all I want, but I don't know the right words to say. I don't know how to solve that problem for you, because I can't solve that problem for me. I can't. I can't figure out how to not have these thoughts in those moments. But I know who I can go to make me feel just a little bit better. I know who I can go to just listen if I needed it. And I want you guys to find those people. And it could start as strangers, but I don't want them to stay strangers to you. Because, like I said, I could have done anything in that moment. And my brain was very much telling me to do a certain thing in that moment. And I don't know what stopped me. I don't know what made me not, and was like, hey, keep driving for the next hour and get to your destination. But I did. I put a lot of emphasis on self-care. A lot of you might see me like post on Twitter like gym pics in the morning. I promise those aren't thirst traps. Those are so when I can look back and remind myself when it's 4 a.m. and I don't want to wake up in the morning because this is the only time I have to go to the gym. I can look back at yesterday's picture and be like, oh, I felt really good when I was there. I felt fulfilled when I was there. I felt relaxed. I felt like that was a place where I can just breathe. Let me go there again, because that's my self care. And there are times, don't get me wrong, there are absolutely times where I've used that as a crutch for self harm. I There are things in life that are really good for you in moderation that I have taken to the extreme and made them self harm. Uh, it's all about that balance, though. finding that balance and finding what works best for you. Because like I said, the reason I don't have that venting section in the Discord is because it's all different for everyone, and it's all, there's all, people of all ages, all walks of life, all countries in that Discord, and even in this chat right now. And if I were to give you one piece of advice, it won't directly translate to every single person. I guarantee there's probably a 12-year-old in chat right now that's just like, I'm just trying to watch Dawn Brothers. I want to see who Sonoshi is. And that's okay. That's okay too. I don't, for everyone in chat right now, and I am reading some of it as it goes by, and thank you everyone for your love and support and your words. I don't want you to think that I'm making this about me. I'm trying to let you know my story as someone who's been in that position and lucky enough to make it out. Because our hero didn't. When we were kids, me and my brother just obsessed with Power Rangers, like every kid in the 90s was. So obsessed, in fact, that like there's video of my parents' wedding where me and my brother are just, Itzy-iya! Itzy-iya! We used to we had a bunk bed, and we used to hang the sheet up on the bunk bed so that there was a little hole in it, and then we'd run from one side of the room to the other and flip through the sheet. And usually to make it through, you had to flip through like crouched under like that, just so you don't hit your feet on the top railing of the bunk bed. It was a wooden bunk bed, but like the top base of the bunk bed. But we never crouched and always hit our ankles, because that's how Tommy flips down the quarry in the Power Rangers movie. When everyone gets, and they're 2x2, and it's all the Rangers flipping down into the quarry to fight the Ivanus in those first couple scenes, or the monsters. I forgot what Ivanus henchmen are called. In those first couple scenes, everybody does this like cool flip. Tommy does this straight up like swanton outreached, and that's how we flipped, because that's what we wanted to do. And we hit our legs every single time. But I think the most relatable thing that I could say about this is we lived in a city called West Covina. West Covina, not too far outside of Los Angeles and Hollywood, and it's not uncommon to see celebrities around. It was the place where a spot called Club Disney first opens up, which was like a Chuck E. Cheese, but based on Disneyland. And when they opened, we were one of the first families to go there, and I bumped in to Bob Iger. Like I was a kid and I smashed into Bob Iger. And my mom was like profusely apologizing. So like you could see celebrities anywhere in this town. But where my mom and dad paid their rent down the street from our apartment, there was a karate dojo next to it. And my mom and dad always used to tell us that was the Green Rangers dojo. I don't know if it's true. I've looked it up a ton, and from what I can tell, Jason David Frank never owned a dojo in West Covina. So like my parents were lying to us. And I was like really mad when I looked it up the first time, and then I realized why. It's because paying rent was the most boring shit in the 90s. It wasn't like, here's online, we're just do it real quick and it's like 2 clicks away. It took time. We had to go someplace, and it took a lot of time. But they told us that was Tommy's dojo because we sat there outside looking in the windows the entire time they were paying rent. trying to see Jason David Frank. And so these two kids, from the time we were 2 years old all the way up until we moved when I was like 11, 12, always sat outside that window once a month looking for the Green Ranger. Because he was our childhood hero. And this was long after he left the show. We stayed there waiting. We stayed there looking through that window trying to find the Green Ranger. And now as an adult, I know, hey, Green Ranger probably was never in that building. Probably never stepped foot in that building at all. I know a lot of people got into karate because of Power Rangers, my brother being one of them. I never got into karate. Unfortunately, I thought I was like super wimpy as a kid and never wanted to get hit. But like, I know that was the reason he did. I know Tommy was the reason he did. I don't think I have much more to say on this. I was trying to think of some big way to wrap this up, but I think that was the note I'm going to wrap that talk up on before we start getting into Toku Tuesday night and stuff. Thank you to all of you for being here. I know a lot of you have stories to share, and I'm just super selfish being like, hey, let me talk for an hour. But all the love to you guys for being here, not to me, to you. And I hope in listening to me, you thought of something different and something new. And in seeing everybody's stories in chat, you thought of something different and something new. Yeah, this is courage overall. And this is my my tribute to the greatest Power Ranger of all time.